Hello, everyone. We will be waiting a bit for other attendees to join as well. If you're already in the chat, feel free to already leave a comment where you're from. Would be amazing to find out where all the people who are interested in Widgetbook today are coming from. So we're waiting about a minute or two, then I'm going to start sharing my screen with you. Hey, BioSX. Hello, where are you from? I mean, you mentioned hello, so maybe you are from a German-speaking country. Okay, so basically, as I mentioned before, we're going to wait about 2 more minutes for the rest to join, to already also get the start, and then afterwards, happy to jump in immediately. Okay, awesome. So already learning German. That's exciting. I guess German is quite a difficult language to learn. And yeah, awesome to see that you're looking forward to the Q&A. And I'm looking forward to your questions. Maybe you can already start, BioSX. Do you have any specific questions about Widgetbook? Because today the stage really is yours. So you have the chance to ask all the questions that you have around Widgetbook, and I'm happy to answer them as well as I can. And I'm also going to give a demo of Widgetbook so that you can also see an example workflow on how you can use Widgetbook that you can then afterwards share with your team as well. But first of all, does anyone have any questions to start with? If it's not the case, then basically throughout the presentation that I'm going to give, you will have the chance, obviously, to ask more questions that you might have. Awesome. I see that Julius is also joining. Julius is also from our team, one of my co-founders. And with that, let me start sharing my screen and give you facts about Widgetbook. So I'm Lucas, co-founder and CEO of Widgetbook, and what you can do with Widgetbook is you can simplify your app development by building your widgets in isolation. I already see that the first people start engaging with the chat. It's great to see. So in case you have more questions throughout the session, just feel free to ask, and I'm going to engage with them. In the meantime, I'm going to explain to you what you can do with Widgetbook. So with Widgetbook, we've been featured by Google's Flutter team as experts for both component-driven development and UI reviews. And today, in the presentation, I'm going to show you how you can build your widgets in isolation, how you can then also quickly test different states, device sizes, languages, themes, etc., and also how you can catalog your own component library and design system, and how you can then also use Widgetbook to review your UI changes in your own pull request. And we as developers, we are striving for building reusable components, and we are doing that because we want to ensure consistent user experience and we want to avoid widget duplication. And what we are then usually doing is we are building our components immediately into screens, and this approach is quite error prone. And it is error prone because it distracts us and we have to build the API design directly on the fly. And that is why Widgetbook can help you a lot. And I'd like to keep the session as interactive as possible, meaning if you have any questions at any point in time, just please feel free to ask and reach out, because right now I will just jump into a live demo straight away. So here we are currently in a demo repository of ours, and we integrated Widgetbook straight into this repository, actually in our CI/CD pipeline. And what you can do with Widgetbook is you can create your own. Okay, if I would have signed up to it, that would have worked. But this page here is publicly available for everyone. So you can just check out demo.widgetbook.io to see this demo of Widgetbook that I'm giving you here right now. And what you can see here on the left side with Widgetbook, you can see an overview of all the different widgets that you have in your app. So you can see in our case here now, for example, all our reusable UI components. So for example, you can see your app bar, your button navigation bar, your card, your counter, your divider, and so on. So it really allows you to have this isolated view of all of your components, and that allows you to build your components a lot easier in a reusable way, because you do not need to take into consideration all the surrounding dependencies that your screens might have. So if you want to, for example, just focus on your app bar, you do not need to put it in the entire screen immediately. Also, I see that Roshan is also joining. It says, hey Roshan, happy to meet you here. Also for you, if you have any questions, just feel free to ask them throughout the session. I'd be happy to help with anything. But as I was saying, you have the chance of really just have this isolated preview of your app bar in this case, and by using our so-called knobs and add-ons, you have the chance to test these isolated widgets even further. So you can, for example, test all of your widgets in, for example, different device sizes. So for example, on an iPhone 13 or on an iPad. And you can then test your widgets as well. For example, if I put it to an iPhone 13 again, you can test it, for example, as well in different themes. So for example, light mode or dark mode as well. And there are many more add-ons that you can also check out. A great question from BioSX: is this code publicly available? And of course it is. So the demo that I'm sharing you here right now is available under the Widgetbook repository. And here you then find our groceries demo. And that is exactly what we're showcasing here in the demo app. So anything that I'm showing you right now is freely available. Yeah. And basically with the add-ons, you are able to test all these global parameters of your widget. So basically different device sizes, different themes, different languages, different text scale factors, and so on. And what you can then do as well is you can use our knobs, and the knobs go into the specifics of your widgets. So in case here, we have the title of the app bar that we also very creatively just name title. And if you want to check how the app bar looks if the title is longer, you can now dynamically override it. So I could dynamically override it to anything I want. So for example, Widgetbooks, webinar, and then I could even add more signs. And then at some point I see, oh, okay, there's an overflow happening. So it's not the user experience that we want, of course, but you can also ask yourself the question, hey, will my app bar ever be that long? Yeah. But now I see we have 2 questions. Great. First question from Kishan. If I'm targeting desktop, then device is none. No. So if you're targeting desktop, you can basically choose the target for desktop as well. Let me show you in the code, and let me actually zoom in a bit for you. So what we see here right now is we are again in our groceries demo app. As BioS asks already, it's open source. So you can just check out the source code as well and try it yourself with that. But to target desktop, what you can do is you go in the Widgetbook folder, and in the Widgetbook folder, we have our main.dart file, and in here we have our add-ons, and within our list of add-ons we have the device frame add-on. And if I want to target desktop, what I would write is I would write devices dot, and now the question is in the end what you want. So if you want to have macOS, Linux, or Windows, you can basically target any desktop operating system you like. And in case you have any further questions about it, Kishan, just let me know. But I'm proceeding with Roshan's question. Curious if there are plans for widget code snippet within Widgetbook, which acts as a scaffold and has the capacity to consume widgets which are not essentially body of a scaffold specific to mobile. So what I'm getting from the question, and please correct me if I'm wrong, already an open issue for that. So we already have an issue asking for, I think it's called code preview, exactly. And that's a feature that we will be working on quite soon. And in the end, what users wish for is, it's already shown here, users wish to preview the code of the widgets inside the UI of Widgetbook. So if we are on our demo page here, we could, for example, envision a third tab. It's not knobs, it's not add-ons, it would be code, for example. And then you would see the code of the widget that you choose. So for example, they would see the code of my app bar. And Roshan, I guess that's what you mean, right? In case you have any further questions regarding that, let me know. I'm happy to help. But otherwise, also just feel free to reach out to us either by asking directly here under that open issue, and then we can have a more detailed conversation regarding that. Sounds amazing. Perfect. Great. And Kishan's questions also answers. Amazing. Then question from Katiko. Is there any way to work with icons using Widgetbook? An easy way. Like my project has 1,000 icons. How can we use Widgetbook to list all, search, etc. for the UI UX and developers see the same icons? Yes, so you can put your icons in Widgetbook. And for that, there are multiple ways. So on our, yeah, so Roshan already has one great way, and that is knobs with icons. That's of course It's of course correct. I can see, is there any way? What do we put here? Oops. Okay, no. The search of that docs page does not seem to work. Doesn't seem to work that well. But basically, as Roshan mentioned already, I would also really recommend you to use our knobs. And in here, what you can do is you can create yourself a custom knob, and with a custom knob, you can then easily put in all the knobs. But we can search in the knobs all the icons. So the search. So if you want to search, then it's probably easier for you to have a separate icons folder here. And with this separate icons folder, you are then able to showcase it. And how you can do that, let's search for assets. Exactly. So I would recommend you to check out our assets page, because here on the assets page, we show you quite well how you could be doing it. And here again, in case you have any, because I obviously don't know what your setup is right now. If you'd like to have us take a look into that more and provide you with some more custom support, you can always do that via Discord. So if you basically go to our docs page, you see the Discords tab, and in here you then have the chance to just enter our Discord server, and in here, yeah, you basically have the chance to ask all the questions you like, and to also share the code that you have, because I mean right now it's quite difficult to give you the perfect answer without seeing your project. But also what Roshan is providing is quite valuable actually. So you could also do it like this. So you could also treat all your data classes as compatible data type. You could use that as well. And you already like the answer. That's great as well. Okay, does anyone have any other questions for now? Okay, it doesn't look like it. So I would proceed with the demo, and I would jump to our cloud offering. So basically, what we just saw is all available for free in our open source package, and luckily, as we see it here, also on the front page, if you have any more questions about everything, you can just find them in the docs or on Discord. So the docs are just available here also on the front page of our open source Widgetbook. Could also explore some Widgetbook examples here, and you can then also learn how you can deploy Widgetbook and how you can then detect changes as well. And that's what we're going to do now. So first of all, we're going to jump into that part where we deploy our Widgetbook to be able to share it with anyone on the team. And afterwards, we're going to jump into the part where we're detecting all the visual changes with Widgetbook Cloud. Okay, let's first of all look into the option to deploying our Widgetbook. And with that, let's actually check out another Widgetbook that we another Widgetbook project that we built. That is our collaborative counter app. And what you can do with Widgetbook, you can include it in your CI/CD pipeline. And if you do so, you then have the chance to easily check out all the builds from your repository. So basically, for every commit that you have in your repository, you have the chance of accessing a Widgetbook build for that specific commit. And you can either access it straight from your favorite Git provider, in my case, I'm here showcasing GitHub, but you could do the same for GitLab, Bitbucket, and Azure DevOps. So we provide support for all the major Git providers. And if I then go to Widgetbook, oh, whoops, I have to sign in first of all. Let's go with the Widgetbook address. Perfect. We are part of Widgetbook Cloud again. And as I mentioned, if I select here straight from GitHub, I have the chance of visiting my build. And then in here, I see exactly what I want to see. I see the latest Widgetbook build for that demo app. And I could then select here, for example, my user avatar component. Right now we are in dark mode, but I could also showcase it in light mode. And then I see exactly again my my open source Widgetbook. So something that we're already familiar with, right? And that allows me to easily share Widgetbook builds with all of my teammates. And it works well with your fellow developers, but you could also bring in other product people like designers or also QA testers, product managers, basically anyone involved in product can then see and access your Widgetbook. And as in Kateko's use case, could also see all the icons that they use in their Flutter app. And in Widgetbook Cloud, you could then see also an entire list of builds. So basically right now, I used showcased the latest build, but we could basically always browse through an entire list of builds that happened. So you also have a nice history and can therefore also, for example, when you and your fellow developers are working on different features, you could still always share the latest Widgetbook of the specific feature that they are working on. So that is the hosting feature of Widgetbook. That is how you can get Widgetbook shared with the rest of your team. What you can also do with Widgetbook is you can automatically analyze your pull requests and can quickly detect all the visual changes. Basically, the other value proposition that we provide here. So you can easily detect visual changes in your pull requests. And I'd love to show you how that can work. So with your pull requests, what you can do is you can usually already see all the code changes that were made. So in here, I can currently see on the left side, that's how my widget was built before. And on the right side, that's the new code change. And that already helps me as a developer to quickly see if the code looks as I want to. But unfortunately, GitHub does not provide us with a way of basically checking that also the UI and the UX of my app looks great. And the issue that I often have as a developer, I know, for example, that certain widget that I built works really, really, really well for a certain screen that I had in my mind, but it might not work that well on other screens. And that's why I might introduce unintended changes. And that's something that, of course, we would like to avoid. And that's why it would be amazing if GitHub would also show us here what all the visual changes look like. But GitHub can't. And that's why what we usually have to do as developers, especially when we would now review the code of our fellow developers, we usually have to check out the code, run it locally, start a simulator, navigate through the entire app until we are finally at the parts of the app that we would like to test. Again, then we don't have full certainty that we noticed all the visual changes, but at least we saw those changes that we are certain of, that the code lines would affect that part of the UI, but we're not sure about everything. And then we would also somehow have to provide feedback only regarding the UI, and it's a big mess. And that's why we built Widgetbook Cloud and we integrate it with your pull requests. So what we do here is we are integrated in your checks, and that is here again, we have feature parity among all the big Git providers. So what you could do is you could check out our check here. So in case, and here in our case, I already approved this change, but the Widgetbook review check would basically run when you create your pull request and would automatically analyze for you, was there any visual change? And in case there was a visual change, this check would remain pending and you would not be able to merge your pull request just yet. What you would have to do is you have to click on it, on the check, and what you can then see here is you can then see on the left side, that is how my widget looks right now. Looked before, and on the right side, that is how my widget looks right now. So that's basically the brand new widget. And you can then easily compare those two versions and can therefore decide, first of all, as a developer who built this, was my change really intentional? Was it really the change I wanted to do? If it's the case, yes, perfect. Everything's great. In case it wasn't, then you could adapt it quickly. And as we can see here already, could easily spot our change both in light mode and also in dark mode. Can changes be detected before push in desktop app? Hisham, what do you mean exactly before push? So basically the changes, so how it works is whenever you are pushing a new commit to your repository, we automatically create snapshots of all of the different use cases that you have in your widget book. So we automatically create screenshots of, for example, this use case, this use case, this use case, this use case. So all the use cases that you have in your app. And then the moment you're creating a pull request, we are comparing the snapshots with each other. So the snapshot of your base build and the snapshots of your head build. So basically the old version with the new version. And that's how, and then we're running visual UI regression tests to then see if there's any change or not. So your next question is Widgetbook desktop app. Can we show the changes? Yeah, so basically if you're running, so if you're building a Flutter app on desktop, it also works. So I mean, right now I'm here showing an iPhone 13, right? But you could show, for example, a desktop build as well. And you could, in our, here we are, in our Widgetbook review feature, you could then show a desktop build here as well. So right now you see we took the screenshot for a mobile device. I'm guessing iPhone 13. But you could also run it on a desktop device. Not target desktop app, rather using Widgetbook desktop app. So you mean you would like to see the changes locally, I'm assuming. So you do not see the changes. So you basically do not run the comparison on the cloud after your commit, but locally. Okay. So that is, at least for now, not possible. So right now, it is only possible in the cloud on the pull request, because here it's actually most impactful. Because here you can check it as the developer who is building it, you can check it as the developer who is reviewing it, and you could also potentially review it as a designer or QA tester or product manager that is reviewing the latest features that have been developed. But it's a good question. But just unfortunately for now, it's not supported. Okay, and you also always have the chance straight from Widgetbook Cloud to not only see your changes on a snapshot level, but you can also always check out your Widgetbook build from here. So if you, for example, are curious to check how do my widgets look in different knob configurations or in different add-on configurations, you can always see the Widgetbook build. What you can also do is you can already pre-configure your review feature in a way that you test all your visual changes in different add-on and different knob configurations. And that is something that in our docs here we call it multi-snapshot reviews. So our multi-snapshot reviews, they allow us to test our widgets automatically in all the different add-on and knob configurations that we care about. And what you can do here in the code is you could, for example, we did it here in one of our demo apps. We wanted to test all our widgets in 2 different languages and 2 different screens, 2 different themes. So what we did here, we wanted to test them in German language, English language, light mode, and dark mode. So we first tested German light, German dark, English light, English dark. And in the case of the demo that I'm showing you here right now, we tested it in light mode and dark mode. So you don't have to manually test them. You can also do it with Widgetbook Cloud. And if you, as a reviewer, are happy with what you're seeing, then perfect. You can go ahead, you go to review changes and approve all the changes. If you're not happy with it, you can either just leave a comment here, or if it's really wrong, you can request changes here. And you can either leave a general comment here, or you can leave a specific comment straight under the use case that you would like to see changed. So it works very similar to your pull request on Git. And if I go ahead and approve my review, then we notice, perfect, pull request review was submitted. And if we navigate back now to GitHub, you can see our Widgetbook review is approved by reviewers, and we could now merge the pull request. So really only once the changes were approved in Widgetbook Cloud, only then you can merge a pull request. And that gives you as a developer really a lot of confidence. Now the design team will make sure everything is pixel perfect before allowing for merge. Yes, so you can also include the designers here. That's a very great point. And we have a feature that is specifically suited for designers. Let me actually go back to Widgetbook Cloud. So if we go back and check out our Widgetbook explained project here, for example, what we can see here is we made use of our Figma integration. So you can see here that you are not only able to review, let's say, Flutter code UI versus Flutter code UI, but what you can also check out is you can check out how does my Flutter UI compare to the original Figma design. So you're able, straight from Widgetbook, you really just click on this view in Figma tab here. Then Figma opens, and you can check out the button here in Figma. So don't try it at home like this. Unfortunately, I can only share one screen with you, but you will get the idea. So basically, everyone nowadays uses 2 screens. That's why it's with 2 screens. It's actually a lot easier to use, but it also works like this. You can easily compare now. On the right side, that's how it looks in Figma. On the left side, that's how it looks in Widgetbook. You can basically check if it matches the requirements, yes or no. And that's a feature that is usually really loved by designers. Perfect. Do you guys have any questions? Kishan, specifically, you've been asking a lot of questions here, which I really like. Do you have anything that you would like to know? Is anything unclear? Any more guidance we can provide? Because if it's not the case, then I would just urge all of you to try out Widgetbook. It's free to use, it's open source, and basically, as Kishan just wrote here, in case you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us on Discord. There we're always happy to help. We'll again put it here up in the docs. So in the docs, you can just go to the Discord button over here, and then you can join our server. Awesome, Roshan. Thanks a lot for the feedback. So I will stay in this call for another minute in case there are not further questions. I mean, I'd be happy to stay as long as you like, but I'll wait for another minute for you to ask all your questions. So Roshan also wrote, I'm going through issues and looking forward how to contribute. But I'd love if you can talk a bit about it. You want to know how you can contribute to Widgetbook? Yes, that is possible. And we actually have a contribution guide in our docs. Maybe it's a bit hidden. So basically you are on our docs.widgetbook.io site, and you scroll all the way down, you find contributions, and you basically find, I would say, a pretty detailed guide on how you can contribute to Widgetbook. And what you can do then is you can go to GitHub, to our Widgetbook GitHub, and can basically here go to the list of issues that we already have, and can basically pick those that you feel are important to you. So, I mean, we already just discussed the code preview, right? So in case the code preview is important to you and you would love to work on it, what I would really love to invite you to is you just write a comment here and basically tell us that you would love to write on it, that you would love to work on it. If that's the case, amazing. Then either I or someone from my team will get in touch with you. Maybe Yusuf, because Yusuf has been quite active on that specific feature request here. And then we'd be happy to get in touch with you. And probably it makes sense to first have a call. If you would love to work on a bigger feature with the smaller ones, maybe you can also already just file a pull request, but with a feature like this, with the code preview, it's a bit more effort. That usually makes sense to sync, first of all, with our team, because we would also really love to avoid that you build something passionately, and then we have to say, hey, this adaptation would be great first, or this and that. So basically to avoid that you are building, let's say, in the wrong direction, first of all, we'd be happy to jump on a call with you. And yeah, if you have further questions about contributing to Widgetbook, let me know. We'd be really happy to help. Awesome. Are there any other questions for now? Okay, doesn't seem like it. Again, if you want to know anything further about Widgetbook, if you want to get started, I encourage you, check out our docs. That's a place where you can get easily started with the open source package or with Widgetbook Cloud. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask your questions in Discord. And I wish all of you a great rest of your day, and really looking forward to seeing you and using Widgetbook very soon. Awesome. See you, everyone.